Call this meeting to order. Action 1.02, approve the agenda.
Got just two changes on 6.03. The column entitled Service Area was added an error that doesn't need to be there. The actual description of the positions, those aren't administrative positions, those are teacher level positions. So those have been removed. And then also on number 2 under President's Report, the location of our regular board meeting on the 22nd is the Fulton Junior High, not the G-Ray Library. And those are the only two changes.
Okay. I have a motion to approve it.
Move it.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passed 400.
5.
5.
Five.
500. Okay. Evacuation procedures. Should there be an emergency, we have an exit right here, or go out the door to the left or to the right and exit out of the building. Okay, have you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public forum. We have one person signed up, Mr. Castillo.
Good evening. It's been a while since I've been here. But as you can see, the big topic tonight, a lot of people here to speak on it. I'm sorry, 57 years ago, I never thought I'd come to a meeting like this where they'd be changing. But you're going to be changing today, and I know it's been going on for a while. I know there's been a lot of meetings. A lot of people are going to be thanked for everything that they've done. But I'm sorry, it's a sad day for anybody that's really been around for 75 years, but 67 years in the city. I know that there's no undoing it, but it's sad. It really is. And the saddest part is there's so many people here to speak about it. I mean, 10 years ago, over at 4th Street School, it was loaded with people who were speaking about the difference changing of a mascot and changing the logo. And there was a lot of people speaking. But I guess they don't like not getting anything back. At that time, there was speak, everybody was talking back and forth. There's a lot of discussion. But now there isn't. And a lot of people, I don't mind coming talking, standing up for what I feel is right. I always do that, and I'll always be, a Red Raider, and it's the way I'll always be. I graduated that way. I went through all, 4 years of high school, elementary, junior high, Red Raider. I'm not going to change at 75 years or 76 years old. And thank you guys for listening to me tonight. But it's sad. I know you're talking about the budget tonight. I didn't put that on there. It says budget financials, but I didn't see budget on there.
Oh, it's the June report, end of the year June report.
Oh, all right, okay. All right. But just the fact that I hope we got money extra in the budget for transportation costs, traveling out to Golden Sun to put gas in the vehicles. It's costing us. If you figure it out, I have. It's costing us somewhere around $3,000 a month when school's in session, extra to travel out there. With the time that people are taking to go out there, it takes a half-hour round trip. And that's not right. That's the way it goes. Thank you very much. I got to be close to my time, right, Mr. Barrett? Thank you very much.
Okay. 1.06, a motion to approve the July 25th regular meeting minutes.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passed 5-0-0. President's report, August 22nd, there's a board retreat at 4:30 here at the junior high. August 22nd, the regular meeting of the Board of Education is here at the junior high at 6:30. And the NISPA convention from October 26th to October 28th is in Buffalo, and registration is open for anyone who wants to sign up for that. And now the superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. And also thank Ms. Perry. She was sitting there at 10 o'clock this morning, ready to get on the NISBA website. So thank you for doing that, and it should be a good conference. It's a great opportunity to learn new information. A couple of things this evening. We've got first item on our superintendent's report is our operations and finance report. Dr. Lisi and Ms. DiBiase.
Thank you, I'll turn it over to Mr.
Thank you for having me here tonight. What we have for the financials right now, so that I can preface this with it, is we are not done with our external audit, so there are some entries that may be happening at the end of that may change these numbers, but this will give you a preliminary look of where we ended the 22-23 school year in terms of our financials. So in June, we budgeted, in New York State, your revenues and your budget have to be equal. So we estimated $79,129,000 for last year. We ended up receiving a few additional miscellaneous revenues that brought us up to $79,562,689. And our budget was just very slightly underspent at $78,576,231. So what I'd like to point out is that in terms of percentage of our revenue and budget estimates, we're operating very closely to what we're estimating. So just about 0.5% over in revenues and just about the same under in budget. So the difference between those numbers is 0.7%. We're operating very, very close to what we're expecting. And if you look at the previous year's percentage, it's fairly consistent. Last year we had 99% of our revenues and 97% of our budget spent. So this tells us that what we're estimating is appropriate and accurate. Some of these variances are literally 1 or 2 bills. And if you look at the charts, just to put it in visual perspective, that huge increase on both sides for the revenue and the expenditure, that reflects New York State fully funding us for our foundation aid, which means we've been able to fund more programs for our students. This is a look at our cash flow for last year. So the blue line is where we actually ended in 21-22. The orange line is what we projected for 22-23. And that gray line is where we actually ended for 22-23 in terms of cash. So you can see, again, that increase is really our foundation aid. But what I want to point out is that we've been able to smooth some of those spikes this year through planning our expenditures a little bit more. And that just helps make sure that we can continue operations without interruptions, send student programming. And the good news is that, as you can see, that gray line and the orange line are very, very, very close together. So we're confident that our projections moving forward will be accurate for what we have on hand. Some of the things to keep in mind for the end of the year review, our biggest areas of expense in this order are salaries, benefits, our BOCES program, and transportation. Those make up the majority of our budget. And one of the biggest costs within that is our health insurance. We had a very expensive plan year this year. They tend to come around every 5 to 6 years. So next year we're projecting those costs to return to a more normal level. But one of the things that we are exploring is potentially petitioning the state to have our own health insurance reserve that would help us weather those spikes a little bit better. And we'll be talking about that at a future board meeting a little more in depth.
I wanted all 7 board members present, hoping the first meeting in September, perhaps the second, just because this year was so volatile. up and down. That really was the difference between what you saw at the end of last year and this year, were those increases. And as Ms. DiBiase indicates, that cycle happens every 5 to 6 years, but you never know, you might get 2 in a row. So we really need to really be thinking about that, and she presented that along with Dr. Lisi to me, and I think it'd be a good idea for the board to consider and have a conversation about.
So in terms of initial projections for fund balance, at the end of June, we were looking at approximately $451,000. Those projections have changed just slightly to $612,000, and the reason for that is largely that in the last couple of weeks of June, our health insurance cooled off just a little bit for us. So that gives you kind of a brief overview of where we ended the year. Again, I just want to put in that disclaimer that when our audit closes, because of those additional auditor entries, there may be some variance in these numbers. Are there any questions or?
What's the time frame? The audit, I know this is normal proceeding.
So we're typically mostly ramped up towards the end of August. They typically don't finalize the reports until mid to end of September, and then we would see them in the first board meeting in October for approval and submission to New York State.
So probably an audit committee meeting in September once we get the preliminary numbers from them.
Yep, as soon as they send us the draft reports, we'll be good to go on that, and the business office has done a lot of work to be prepped and fully ready for this, so I expect an early draft this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one addition to the operations report, just to let folks know, we're going to be sending out a transportation survey to all families. We ask that you please complete that. That'll be out by Monday. And the week of August 21st, the postcard will go out with transportation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Very concise, I appreciate that, Mr. DiBiase, very clear. Capital improvement update, just a couple of things. I was taking a deep breath over we have 26 unit ventilators over at the high school, 26 classrooms. Those are the ventilators that sit in your classrooms along the wall. We've been doing all the prep work. They were supposed to be here July 15th. They weren't. They're arriving this Thursday. They're on the trucks. We have verification. They crossed the border. So they're here. All the prep work, we should be still on schedule to do that. I was getting a little bit antsy about that. So good news there for those ventilators, those 26 rooms. Also, the RTU-8, that is the large ACU, the HVAC unit on top of the library, was officially started today. And it fired up and it worked, and it's working well, and the staff was starting to be trained on that piece of equipment. So great news there. So those are two of the big projects. We also, a couple of years ago, those of you that were on the board, we had a 2,000-gallon tank, hot water storage tank on the second floor in the maintenance area that decided to have a hole. That was removed in the last 48 hours from the high school. They got it out of there, and the 3 new 500-gallon storage tanks are going in, much more economical as well. So that's good news as well. So the capital projects are moving along nicely. The abatements are completed. So we got a lot of work done this summer. It wasn't seen. It was kind of those last projects that are being done. And then this morning, Dr. Lisi, myself, and Mr. Crump met with King Architects to further the scope and sequence timing for the 23 projects. So we're starting to lay those projects out. We're giving some feedback today. Hopefully we'll be bringing that to the board in the coming month, within the month, where we have a time frame so you can actually see the kind of order of the work that we're planning out. Those submissions will go into the state, it takes time, and then it takes about 12 to 15 weeks for approvals. So we're already talking about next summer work and possibly into that next school year to get started. So again, good things going on with that. Also, I just want to draw your attention around capital improvement. I did send you last week in your Friday update the joint letter from all of the different organizations, NISA, NISBA, ASBO, so on and so forth, NISCUS, that they wrote to the governor as well, asking for her approval with respect to all of the legislation surrounding the debt limit, which would allow us to expand our capital projects in the future. So again, I just want to draw attention to that. Any questions on our capital improvement pieces? We're in good shape there. New educators orientation, I just want to draw attention that you're all welcome. Please, if you'd like to come and meet our new group of teachers, that's on the 22nd, I believe, right here. And we're gonna start at 7:45, light breakfast, that type of thing, but 8 o'clock we get started. We introduce or thereabouts, as Jerry said, so we'll be getting them started, but really an opportunity for us to introduce. Is that gonna happen first thing as normal, Jerry, that we introduce ourselves? 8:15. So 8:15, we're gonna introduce. If you'd like to come and meet our new teachers, you're more than welcome to do so. We also do that on the first day of school, which is on the 5th in the morning. We'll send more information for our first day, and you're always welcome to attend that opening plenary where we discuss. Anything you'd add,
We'll
Jerry?
begin introductions at 8 and try to end by 8:15 because then they're going to be doing technology training.
Okay. So we get started.
Diving right into the,
But please let us know if you'd like to come. It's a great event to see all the new blood and new energy coming into our district, so it's an exciting time. And as far as school readiness, we've got a couple items this evening. I'm going to ask my team to help me out here. Why don't we start with we'll start with Jerry, Deputy Superintendent. Just if you want to provide an update for school readiness.
sure. My portion focuses on student enrollment and an update of where we are currently with student enrollment. As of Friday afternoon, August 4th, we had a total enrollment of 3,034 students, K through 12, and 126 UPK students registered for the coming school year. That breaks down to 1,531 elementary students, 494 students at our junior high school, and an increase in our GRB enrollment of 44 students to 1,009 from where we ended up in June. So overall as a district, we have 58 students fewer than we had on June 30th, but our high school has 44 more students than they had on June 30th. As of this morning, there were also 21 pending registrations. And for our UPK classes, we have 6 more spots available in our half-day programs. Our full-day programs are completely full, and there are only 6 more spots in the half-day programs available at this point in time.
And I believe we're doing a UPK presentation on the 22nd.
Correct.
So that'll give you a better
Up to
idea.
speed on where our classrooms will be, the configuration of our classrooms, and what we anticipate for the coming year.
And on the enrollment, Jerry, that pointed out on Beds Day last year, which is we were 3,165, but last year at this time we were 3,067. So this is not uncommon for us to be a little bit low and coming back. So hoping that we get up over that 3,100 number when school starts, it's about where you'd expect us to be. But we are declining. Enrollment has been about 50 a year, so we want to keep an eye on that. But that's kind of where we're at. So we're not too far off where we were at last year at this very time. So thank you, Jerry. Mr. Capani, staffing.
As far as staffing goes for the next school year, we're in pretty good shape considering the transient job market that all districts are experiencing. We've had 23 resignations. We've had 4 teachers move into a teacher on special assignment position. We've had 9 retirements. And out of all of those 36 positions, we only have 5 open positions remaining. And some of those open positions, again, we're interviewing for, and we should have filled by the next board meeting. So we're in really good shape. So we're bringing on right now, as of now, a total of 31 new instructional staff members.
Okay. I was talking to, just so board member and Mark alluded to that, we're monitoring very closely. The other thing we've been talking about is we really want to know why people choose to come here and work for us. We also want to know why people are choosing to go. So Mark and I were discussing that today. We were discussing that as a team. That's something we want to check on. We are seeing similar trends to other school districts. In fact, one of my colleagues, we actually shared, making sure we're already staffed, 1 or 2 candidates today that he's looking. He has no candidates for a position, so we shared possible candidates they may want to consider to reach out to. So other districts are going through these same things, but the goal for us is we have to continue to promote our district and retention as well as recruitment. And I think we've had a nice balance. And I think this information that we're going to try to pursue and try to make sure that we know why people are coming so we can make that more exciting, but at the same time also what are some of the reasons. We know some of them, we want to continue to dig. Some of them, they really just want to be in their districts of residence, which is a trend also nationally. So, but again, that's not the answer for everyone. So
do we do exit interviews when people leave?
So we're discussing setting up a system of exit interviews and how we're gonna do that in a non-intimidating environment, so we get some honest answers from people.
We talked about maybe working with our BOCES partners to help us with that process.
I'm meeting with them on Thursday to discuss it.
Yeah.
Are these resignations just from January on, from this year, or is it from
Fiscal or
September?
calendar?
Yeah, thank you.
Say that again?
Fiscal or calendar
The
resignations
resignations.
that you mentioned?
These would be from January on.
So 20.
Basically, when I came in, when I started keeping track.
So more to follow, but you're more than welcome to come and visit our new people if you'd like to on the first day. Also, let me see what I do so far. Dr. Lisi.
Sure. Our focus right now has been in building and grounds preparation for the opening day. Of course, we're hoping weather will start to cooperate with that. Folks have been working hard to get buildings ready. You'll see that. Also, we have new equipment coming in for food services. We're excited to have that happen. They're starting that installation actually today. So we have that going on. In operations in general, we're planning to begin the process of centralizing operations and call centers. So we're trying to bring together technology and all of the other departments so that we have one central place that folks can call and create a more efficient process for getting answers and so on. So that's been our focus in trying to prepare for that this year.
And the equipment, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the equipment came from, we did very well with our CEP program, and we were well in the black, is that correct? And so that's why we're using and buying the equipment?
Correct. So we are actually, that was the first part of the order. There's a second part that we are waiting on. But we had so much surplus that we were instructed to invest it back in the program. And many of our equipment items hadn't been replaced for many years. So we are putting it back into the kitchens to make sure that the students can continue to receive those meals from the program.
Right. And
where is the equipment going?
Each school, every school.
each of the schools, serving lines, could be ovens, could be refrigerators, serving lines we took a good look at.
The kitchen here needed some improvement.
Yep. So the good news is food services across many districts does not necessarily always fall well into the black. Sometimes they're very close. We've done extremely well with our CEP, and publicly I will say, because I've gotten a couple inquiries because other districts only had free or reduced during COVID, and they're no longer doing it. We are a CEP district, the eligibility program district, therefore we continue that. So that's what we've been telling parents, but we want to make sure in our family communication, we probably should add that. That's a question that's been coming up. And they were very happy to hear that that's a program we've continued to do. And we've done that, I believe, since 2017 or 18.
And one last thing for operations, I mentioned this earlier for our review, we're looking at several new safety and security implementations, both technologically and in process and protocol. So we'll share more with that, about those as time goes on. One of them is a crisis communication system for the district. The analogy would be really like our fire alarms. We have a system now that will put alerts on any digital device that's on our network if we have a crisis that we need to deal with. So that was our first step towards creating some sort of communication system that might work for all of our stakeholders.
Does that do lockdown, lockout?
Everything. It will notify verbally in a digital message what the alert is and so on. So.
We'll do more to follow at the retreat as well.
Okay.
Two questions. So
Sure.
with our new equipment, I guess my question is like, did we get any input from our food service staff of what actually is needed and desired even in the kitchen?
Quite a bit of feedback.
Okay.
It was driven by them. We didn't, that was all them.
Just want to make sure we're included.
Yep.
And then my second question is, with the new equipment, I'm assuming needs training. Are we going to be bringing them in to train them on the equipment prior to the start of school?
Where it's needed, yeah. I mean, some of these are new lines, like serving lines, that sort of thing. So.
Okay.
It'll go into the school year. Some will be installed, and as Ms. DiBiase said, some has arrived and some hasn't. So we'll take advantage. But that's great news for us.
I just wanted to add, you made me think of it when you asked about school meals. The work that has been going on instructionally throughout the summer with the summer programs, our food services staff has been here working all summer providing meals to lots of kids who are here and will be here through August 18th in our summer program. So that's very exciting, and going back to my instructional side of the house. Just thanking the teachers who worked so hard this summer in so many different capacities, and our administrative team who've been busy planning, doing curriculum writing, writing common assessments, and developing communications for our families. The number of collaborative meetings that have been held this summer is really amazing, and I really do appreciate that work, and I can't wait to see the results and how that manifests itself in the classroom from day one. So they've done a great job.
It's been a busy summer, that's for sure. Yes, I echo that. Our staff's been doing an outstanding job. In fact, somebody came into the superintendent's office today and commented how well built the grounds look this summer, because they've really been able to keep up with it. This has been probably, somebody commented, one of the strongest teams we've ever had with our summer support that's come in. It's been a strong team, and you could tell just by the way the place looks. So, good news. Is there any questions about our school readiness? The only other thing I wanted to remind you all is on the 29th, we'll be at Lanigan, Granby, Volney, and then 4th Street. That's on the 5th for the walkthroughs, the readiness walkthroughs. And then on Wednesday, August 30th, we'll go to Fairgrave first, then the junior high, and then G. Ray Bobley High School. So you'll get a chance to see the efforts of all of our staff 1 week before we're ready to roll.
Did we talk about, and I could have missed it, the gym floor, the bleachers at the high school?
So that was part of the discussion this morning in the scope and sequence of the work.
Yep.
And that was part of the conversation. They had that in, we're talking about 3 phases of the work, and they had it in the 3rd phase. But we had a conversation today just about, is there any, what I call more low-hanging fruit with less planning that needs to be done by the engineers or the architects for approvals, things like that. So that was part of the discussion this morning, was really looking at the order of things. And that's one, obviously that's one of the projects.
The sanding of the floor.
The sanding of the floor, the new bleachers, all of that it was in the 3rd phase of the project, which should be 2 to 3 years out. So that's the problem. We have a lot of work to do over the next 2 to 3 years, and really trying to prioritize that work, because it's all important. But one of the things I was pushing, and Dr. Lisi was there this morning, was, are there any projects that are a little bit more balanced that we may be able to do? For example, that project earlier than in phase 3. So that was part of the discussion.
Is scoreboards on there?
Scoreboards is part of it, complex. I think what we're going to do is, once we get the timeline, I think we should bring back the scope and sequence of the work, and then we can actually map it out and show to the board kind of where it's at, the way we've mapped it out. The challenge, and that's why that debt limit is so important, 20 million projects sounds like a huge project, but it's not. Everything in there is extremely important that we do. So it's where you try to lay it out. So that's part of the sequencing. So we were really pressing to see how can are there any things we wanted to adjust as they provide us another one. So he took all the information back today. He was going to meet with some of the other architects along with Chase, and then going to bring us back another proposal of the order.
Did you might have, and I can look back, did you give us a list of the items?
Yep, back in the spring, but yep, we can do that again.
Okay.
Yep, because we reprioritized now, what we called Greendom.
Yep.
So Greendom was that those are the priorities of the priorities. We kind of went through and said, what are those priorities of the priorities? That helped them decide what needed to go into phase 1, phase 2, phase 3.
And we'll review that.
Yep.
Okay.
And the other piece that we have to keep in mind is you don't want to have too many schools at the same time with too much work going on, because then you end up too spread thin. So that's the other piece, is how do you keep it focused and moving forward and kids in, and because what we have is breaks in summer times for the most part.
We'll just have more of a generalized, focused plan.
Yep, so we'll give you an update on that plan in the coming weeks. Normally, last time we started the project, it was late September when we did the presentation. We had King come in, and we redid kind of, all right, here we go. Here's what our plan looks like.
Thank you.
So you're welcome, great question. And with that, I believe that's the conclusion of the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Paul.
Thank you.
4.01, motion to accept the financials.
Move it.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passed 5-0-0. 4.03, motion to accept donations from the Merry-Go-Round Playhouse.
Move it.
Second? Wait, did we skip 5.02?
4.02.
Yes, we did.
We need to do 2.
Yep, Pulaski Academy and Central School. Did we do the donation? I thought I had the,
We did the financials.
We did the financial, we didn't do 4.02.
okay, there we go.
4.02. Okay. Discussion? In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passed 500. Okay, now 4.03. Accept donation from the Merry-Go-Round Playhouse.
Move it.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passed 500. 4.04, dispose of surplus property.
Move it.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Passed 500. New business, 5.01. Motion to approve the Committee on Special Education.
Move it.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passed 500. 5.02, approve a resolution to lease the garage.
Move it.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passed 500. 5.03, approve the logo and the mascot name.
Move it.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passed 500. 6.01, I have a motion to batch 6.01 to 6.12.
Move it.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passed 500. Okay. 7.01, Board Forum. Mr. Crandall?
Oh, I just want to thank everyone for the presentations. I think everything's looking good. Driven around a few of the schools, everything's looking really good. And that's it.
Mrs. Hutchinson?
I knew.
You knew I was gonna screw it up.
I just wanted to thank Mr. Polino for actually addressing the CEP program. I know there was one major school district that announced today about having a similar program, and I've gotten some questions about it, so I'm glad that we're putting that out there. I am quite curious, in my new job, I've been getting some feedback from CMS about budget increases for healthcare costs and what that's going to be looking like in the next 5 years or so. So I'm glad that we discussed that, and I'd like to, continue to discuss that and go further, because with telehealth programs and things like that, we're projecting huge increases there, and just that we make sure that we're budgeting appropriately for that. And that's it. Thanks so much, everybody.
Mrs. Mainville?
Thank you for the presentations, concise, thank you, and very easy to understand, thank you even more. The transportation being sent out to the parents, August 21st, that's huge, so we can get that out there, so we can prepare, that's always a big thing. And that's about it. Thank you for the grounds crew, everything looks great. I've been out and about, and it's looking top notch.
Yeah.
Mrs. Beckwater?
Yeah, I also want to piggyback on Fallon's comment about the health insurance reserve, just so that people know like how important it is that we fund our reserves with our surplus. Things are going to come up, and we're not going to be able to. They're going to be emergencies, and better to be prepared. So I'm really glad. I think that we have a board that supports that decision, and that makes me really happy. So appreciate our work in the business office, getting ready for audit. I know how stressful that is, and I'm impressed that you guys are wrapped up already. So all the power to you, because I know how tedious that can be. So and that's it.
Thank you. I just want to thank the district for allowing me to attend a leadership and education conference a week ago. I'll may be making a presentation during one of our retreats. Again, thank you on the financials, operations, and the staffing report. That's to hear that we're only 5 short, was it? Because we're only 5, right? Because I was talking to Oswego during that leadership conference, and they're not in very good shape, so I appreciate all the hard work you've done. Okay, 7.02, second public forum.
No, really?
Okay, Frank?
And 8.01.
7.03, no executive session.
No executive session,
Oh,
I
no.
apologize.
Okay.
8.01, motion to adjourn.
Move it.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? Pass 5-0-0.
Okay. Thank you. Very good.